YOLO. I was running some numbers earlier, and I came to the realization that an average life is a financial trap that most people are never going to get out of. But don't just take my word for it. I'll show you the numbers I crunched earlier, and you can decide whether average is acceptable or if it's a total scam. Let's start with what's the happiest part of this little numbers game. The average individual income in the United States has hit $65,470 for an individual, whereas the median income for an individual is $42,220. According to my calculations, if you divide these numbers by 12, one for each month of the year, the average income will grant you $5,455.83 a month, whereas the median will give you $3,518.33 a month, assuming no money is withdrawn from taxes. Now, at first, this doesn't look too bad for living on, so I started Googling what are the average expenses that every American has and the average amounts that they pay, and that's where things started to get ugly. So I decided when I was crunching the numbers, I'd start with the biggest, most obvious expense. Go for the low-hanging fruit, if you will. Rent. Rent in America is at an average of $1,625. And for our homeowners out there, it's looking like the mortgage for the average house in America is sitting at $2,715. Now that the big one's out of the way, we go and we tag on the secondary expense of having a place to live, which is insurance. The average renter's insurance I was surprised, it was only about $15 a month, whereas the average homeowner's insurance came out to roughly $176 a month. Now on to our next biggest expense, which is a car payment. Now when I was looking it up, there's a variance in how much the average car payment it is, depending on if you get a new or a used vehicle. So I decided we would run the numbers based off of a used vehicle, and whenever there's a variance in price between a higher or lower for the average, we're going to tend to lean towards the lower to try and be as lenient with the numbers as possible here. So, keeping that in mind, going with the used vehicle to try and lower the expense, we're looking at about $523 car payment per month. I was surprised. I did not expect it to be that expensive for a used vehicle. However, cars cost a little bit more than that per month because you have to have car insurance and you have to get gasoline. So for car insurance, I was surprised because we're looking at about $130 a month for basic bare minimum coverage in car insurance. And it's gasoline. Looks like the average American spends about $204 in gasoline per month. I sold my own personal car a couple of years ago and haven't had to deal with any of it, so I had no idea how high these costs have gotten, and I was seeing a little bit of sticker shock. The next expense on our list would be groceries. Now, I was looking it up, and things aren't as bad as over in Australia. I was watching Once Fated's channel the other day. A shout out to him, you should go check him out. I'll leave a link for his channel in the description below. But the way he describes groceries over there, it's an absolute nightmare compared to what we have. But from what I looked up, for a single individual in America, your grocery expenses per month are going to be looking about $238. I found that surprisingly low. The next monthly expense we're looking at is the internet. This one had a bit more variation to it, but again, I went with the lower option for the average. So we're looking at an average internet for Americans to pay is about $40 a month. And that's the cheaper version, not counting all the extra things they add on like taxes or fees for renting their router if you don't have one of your own. Next up on the list is credit cards. And I'm going to take a moment to rant on credit cards because I myself use credit cards, but I also understand just how dangerous credit cards can be. I would equate credit cards to fire. Fire can be used to cook your food, to disinfect water, to keep your house warm. But on the flip side, fire can also burn your house down, killing you and your loved ones. It can leave horrible welts and burns on your body, and is just all around dangerous. In my personal opinion, the only kind of credit card that anyone should use is a cash back card on expenses that they're already going to make. Think things like groceries each month, gas. If you do it like this, you'll be able to get a little bit of kickback on money you're already required to spend. I've never seen anyone bragging about how their points and air miles got them to be a billionaire or maybe even a millionaire from using the credit cards. I've never seen any ultra wealthy individuals talk about how their low interest credit cards is what got them to their ultra successful status. But I've seen plenty of people and heard the horror stories of how they just end up in lifelong credit card debt, just swamped and never able to achieve freedom because of it. It looks like the average American is spending $273 a month on credit card repayment. The next expense we have is student loans. And I was surprised they're a little lower than I expected them to be. The average student loan payment is looking at about $393 a month. I was very fortunate to be able to avoid student loans. I ended up going to college, but I had worked all throughout the summers and the school year and was able to pay for my way through community college. As soon as I hit the university level, I did one semester there and dropped out because that was just ridiculous. The next expense on this list is cell phone. It looks like the average cell phone service is about $70 a month. And if you're watching this video on your cell phone, now would be a great time to take a minute and like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Maybe even drop a comment down below and let me know which of these expenses you found most surprising. The next monthly expense, I was a little surprised at how cheap it was. It seems that the average American has only about $42.38 worth of monthly streaming services. This next expense I wasn't expecting to be as high, but it looks like the average American is spending about $166 a month on dining out, going to actual restaurants and eating there. It did not count things such as DoorDash bringing the food to you. I didn't even want to try and look into that because I figured it would be an absolute mess. I know from personal experience because whenever I order from DoorDash, after you have the delivery fee and then leaving a tip, it always comes out to be like over $40 or $50 just for one person's food. It's ridiculous. Alright, this next expense is going to ruffle a lot of feathers because this is the one thing that everyone always complains about, saying that if you didn't get your morning coffee every day and had it at home instead, you'd be able to save up 30 grand in no time. So I looked it up, and it seems that the average coffee amount that people are spending is $90 a month. So after crunching up all these numbers that represent the average lifestyle, choosing the cheaper price for anything that had variance, we came out to a price of $3,809.38 a month if you're a renter. And if you're a homeowner, you're paying $5,060.38 a month on average. Now we're going to compare that to the average income and median income per month, assuming no taxes, and see just why an average lifestyle and average pay is such a dangerous trap. So, according to the numbers we ran, if you're making the median income, you're going deeper and deeper in debt if you're a homeowner or a renter. You're just not going to make any progress living at an average lifestyle. And if you have the average income, then you're squeezing by, but one thing happens and you're getting knocked back to square one, or you're starting to fall into debt too. This is why average is a trap that's slowly crushing everybody, because just day by day it doesn't seem that bad until you look at the numbers and realize we chose the cheaper option for any and all bills. These are assuming these people don't have wives and children or pets that need taken care of or any other monthly expenses. It is a rigged system, and it is very difficult to get out, but it is possible. Seeing this just reminds me of how important it is for us all to become financially literate and educated. The more we know, the more we can avoid falling into certain traps, lifestyle inflation, or keeping up with the Joneses, buying or paying for things that we don't really need or want. We need to become more financially educated and prepared, start making plans. That way we don't end up slipping into an average mundane lifestyle, which you go to sleep, you wake up, you work, you go home, you go to sleep, you wake up, you work, and then you open your eyes one day later, it's been 20, 30 years down the road, you're in the same boat, except inflation's eating away at your money, pay raises don't come as much, and everything just feels more expensive. It's time right now for us to change the course, to steer this ship into a new direction, and to take the helm for our lives. We've all heard the saying that knowledge is power, but I actually think that saying is wrong. There are people out there who are far dumber than I am, who are making boatloads of cash and living much more extravagant, well-off lives. And there are people that are much smarter than me who are doing way worse than I am financially. It's not a matter of intelligence. It's a matter of applying your intelligence. So I would change the saying to no longer be knowledge is power. I would now have it say applied knowledge is power. Because if you have the knowledge and you don't act on it, it's not going to do you any good. But if you even have less knowledge than the people around you, but you take actionable steps forward and take measurable progress, 5, 10 years down the line, you're going to be light years ahead of where they are, as they're just stuck in an endless cycle. It's like they're crippled by analysis paralysis, having too much information and not enough action. The world now needs bold action. And the first step is we need to gain the knowledge so we can apply it. Over the last several years, I've been reading dozens of books and learning through trial and errors myself about the financial process, what money is, the fiat currency system, how we got here, and where we might be going. And I'm hoping to be able to share this information with you here on this YouTube channel without trying to sell you some kind of guru magic, buy this course and you'll flip houses or you'll make $80K a month if you just buy my online training school. I'm not going to do anything like that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to share as much as I've learned and continue to learn with you guys here for free. So if you don't want to miss out on gaining the information and the knowledge to help pull yourself up and avoid falling for an average trap, then make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
Enemy down!